So yesterday, I decided to go camping in a complete storm. A lot of people would say I'm crazy. I'm always going out and testing myself to see how much I can endure and what I can do and where I make mistakes. It's just what I do. And yesterday we had, I think there were 60, 70 mile an hour winds. It was crazy how windy it was. Extreme downpours. I mean, you would almost say it was tornado weather. And there was people that actually did have tornadoes. So I get out there at Land Between the Lakes. It cost me $20 for me and my son to go for 3 days. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking, boy, where am I going to do this? Now, we were originally going to backpack in, and I thought, well, let's just set up the tent near the truck. And because they said everything would stop at 8 o'clock at night. And I said, why don't we just stay here for one night and then pack it up and then we'll hike in. And he thought that was a good idea too. Well, we get the tent set up. And I took my camouflage one. You'll see a video I have coming which one I used. And I didn't have the tarp on properly. We were setting it up in the rain. I mean, it was crazy. And there was literally, I was on top of a mountain. I figured if I drove up to the top of the mountain, it wouldn't be as wet and the water would have went downhill and life would be good. But it was raining so hard, it didn't have a chance to get down the mountain. There was literally, I mean, 1/3 of an inch of just water. You were literally slopping around in water. There was no place that was dry. Did not exist. So we had to set up the tent right in the water. We threw the tent down. We got it set up. Now it's pouring, so you want to get it set up as quickly as possible. We connected one pole wrong because it's been like, I don't know, 2 years since I used that tent. And then I didn't put the fly on properly. I thought it was, but I obviously didn't. We get our stuff in the tent. We get laying down. We're pretty comfortable. And my dog is laying at the end. It's a 2.5-man tent, so it was tight. 2 men in there and a dog. And I was noticing as the rain came down and hit the ground, because I could see out that there was a little bit of screen I could see. And that screen I should have had that tarp tighter. But as the rain hit the ground, it would splash up into the screen and then go into a spray. And my dog was slowly getting wet. I was literally watching her just slowly get wet while I laid there. And she actually laid her head on me and grunted, and she almost like she was looking at me going, are we having fun yet, you son of a bitch? Needless to say, it was a total fail. Total fail. I didn't even think about getting video. I should have. Didn't even think about it. I mean, I was thinking, we were there for probably 4 hours, and we both said, fuck this, and we packed it up and just shoved everything in the truck. We didn't even fold stuff up or no, we just pushed it in. We just wanted to get out of there. We were soaked to the bone from top to bottom. I've got my down sleeping bags laying out, drying out now. And I figured since I was going to set up my tent to dry out, I might as well set up the other ones and give you guys a tour of the different tents I have. That'll be the video next. But, as you get older, and I've camped in pretty much every type of weather, from -20 in the winter to you name it, I've done it. I've never done that. And boy, did I screw up big time. And it was just crazy. Ideally, if I had to do it over, it probably would have been better to have another tarp. Probably one of those plastic cheap ones, just to throw on top. And I probably would have been fine to continue on. If I would have thrown one of those in my truck just as kind of like a backup. But I've never seen anything like that. When we were driving home, I seen trees everywhere falling over. Trees over the road. There was one time I even pulled over and used that brand new saw from Silky I bought. Cut a tree to get through. People were driving across people's front yards to get around the trees, waiting for the city to show up. And of course, transport trucks, they were just stuck. They had to wait. They just couldn't move. I pulled over halfway home and to let Luna out, see if my German Shepherd had to go to the bathroom. It was so funny. I wish I had just some video. The wind hit us and literally picked up Luna and pinned her against my back tire. She was literally pinned sideways against the back tire of the truck, and I was leaning 45 degrees just to keep from falling over. And I was looking at her laughing, and got her back in the truck, got back in the truck. I was like, holy man, it's bad out here. And everything was just crazy in Tennessee. It was just nuts how windy it was. It really was. I mean, everything and everything was tore off. I seen people's roofs tore off. I seen 2 trees that fell over into people's houses. See, years ago at my house, I had a whole bunch of trees around my house, and I always seen people in tornadoes always end up with their houses crushed by a tree. So I ended up calling in a tree guy, and I cut the trees down all the way around my house. There's nothing that can fall in my house. So I made sure of that. I actually had one woman next door to me that when she was alive, I cut down a walnut tree, and it was all hollowed inside. It was getting ready to go. And she was so upset because she used to get her walnuts there. But once she seen it was all rotted inside, she was like, okay, you needed to cut that one down. I mean, and I thought it was kind of funny. It was my property, and I'm like, you're telling me if I can cut a tree down? People are so funny. But I made sure every tree around this property was cut down, and I've never had an issue. No matter what's come close, and we've had some pretty close calls with tornadoes here. But that was crazy weather. It really was. I never knew or ever seen the ground get so saturated on a mountain that it started to pool up like a pond. Usually it's running down the mountain so quick that the ground stays dry. And even when I drove out in 4-wheel drive, that was getting kind of hairy too because the water was rising everywhere. It didn't matter. I mean, I went through water that was almost 3 feet deep. It was crazy. It was probably pretty stupid to be out there camping in that. But I had this thing figured out like look how beautiful it is today. It's a nice sunny day. I'm outside setting up tents. I mean, it's beautiful. Ground's all dry. Nope. I should have waited one more day and went out, but I got cocky and I wanted to go out and show off. And I said, I'll get that on video and I'll just look so damn cool. I didn't look so cool. Not at all. I failed. And I'm going to test another tent I have, and we're going to see if I can endure that one. But I think I know where my mistakes were, and when it happens again, I'm going to go out again and test it. But I may test it in my yard instead of actually going out the land between the lakes. And because I paid for 3 days, which was $10 for me and $10 for my son, so that was $20 I wasted for only going for 5 hours and a half a tank of gas. But I definitely want to know how to camp in that. And the reason I do that, I just kind of curious, like if shit hit the fan or something horrible happened, a lot of people believe it won't. If it did, and I was out scrounging or I was going to different houses to get canned food, whatever, and I had to travel, one town over, which is a good 45-minute drive, which would probably take me 8 hours to walk. I mean, you could very well end up in a storm like that. And can I survive in that storm and, load up your pack with canned food, whatever, and work your way back to home base? Could you do that? I don't know. There's a lot of things to consider. And a lot of people say, well, that's never going to happen. You're never going to have to walk with a pack like that. I used to say that with a lot of stuff. And global warming has changed this weather so bad that Tennessee would never get down to minus 20 below. And now it does. We never had storms like that unless it was a tornado. The weather is getting very, very severe. And a lot of people saying the economy can collapse, this can go, that can go. Look, I ain't taking anything for chances. I mean, if I have to venture out and start looking at other towns or other places or hunt or whatever, I'm going to make sure I have the equipment. I'm going to make sure I can do it to make life as easy as possible to achieve the goal. And that's the whole idea, to achieve the goal. And that's the bottom line. So you can believe the government can come save you. I've never had anybody give me anything for nothing. I've always had to work my ass off all my friggin' life. So, I don't know. Every time somebody believes the government is going to do something, all I see is the government always taking from me. You know, like right now in the house, they've got that thing where they want me to pay for people's education. And I'm like, nobody paid for mine. Like, what the hell? Everybody just hands anything handed to them anymore. I don't get it. But that was a wide, rude awakening for camping out in some bad weather. And I failed. I failed miserably. I lasted like 5 hours. No, we didn't get hurt. Nothing happened to us. I mean, when you got a nice big truck sitting there beside you, I mean, there's nothing really to worry about. You're okay. Now, I made sure when I was on top of that mountain, I camped in a place where there were no trees around me. I could see trees, but there was none around me. And when we were inside the tent, oh, you could hear them snapping. They were snapping like matchsticks. It was unbelievable. It actually gave you an eerie feeling inside. You were like, damn. And you didn't want to be back in the bush with that going on. And if people were on the Appalachian Trail when that was going on, man, oh man, I'm sure they ran to get off that trail. But that was some crazy weather. So even I fail, but a little more practice, I'll get it down pat. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.